Kevin Flynn, the CEO of Encom, tells his 7-year-old son, Sam, about his experiences in the Grid, a digital world within the Tron computer system that he created. He reveals that there is someone named Clue, who was modeled after Flynn, and a security program called Tron. Flynn has discovered something incredible within the Grid, but he keeps it a secret from Sam until their next conversation. However, that next conversation never happens. A series of newspaper articles and television reports reveal the sudden and mysterious disappearance of Kevin Flynn. Sam is forced to live with his grandparents, who try their best to provide for him in the absence of his father. 20 years later, Sam is riding his motorcycle through the streets at night, headed towards Encom Tower. He uses his hacking skills to bypass the building's security and makes his way to the control room. Unbeknownst to him, a board meeting is taking place where Richard is presenting the new OS 12, a secure operating system. When Alan Bradley asks about the system's improvements, Edward Dillinger Jr. remarks that the idea of sharing software for free died with Kevin Flynn. Sam manages to swap the OS 12 master file, causing it to show a repetitive video of his dog Marv when Mackie tries to run it. He smirks as he walks by the boardroom, but he is quickly chased by a security guard named Ernie. Mackie demands to know where the master file is, but Bradley reveals that it's already on the internet. Sam and Ernie end up on the rooftops, where Sam reveals himself as Encom's largest shareholder before jumping off the building's edge. He safely parachutes to the ground but is soon arrested by the police. After posting bail, Sam returns to his home, a shipping container that has been turned into an apartment, which overlooks the city skyline, including Encom Tower. Bradley visits Sam and commends him on his prank, an annual event that Sam performs on the day of his father's disappearance. Bradley tells Sam that he recently received a page from Flynn's old office above his arcade, a number that hasn't been in use for 20 years. Reluctantly, Sam decides to investigate and heads to his father's arcade. He discovers a secret doorway behind the Tron arcade game, which leads him down a passage and into a confined control room. Sam sits at the computer and discovers that it still works. While searching for information, he unknowingly activates a large laser behind him, which digitizes him and sends him straight into the Grid. Sam is shocked by the sudden change in environment and stumbles outside the arcade, where he is quickly captured by a recognizer. He meets other captive programs, including a nervous one and another missing half his face. They are taken to the edge of the gaming grid and are assigned either to derezzing or games. Sam watches as the nervous program is assigned to the games but ultimately derezzes himself by jumping into an in-ground fan. Sam is then taken to the armory, where he is stripped of his clothes and fitted with armor and an identity disc. Jem, the last siren, instructs him to survive before leading him out onto the gaming grid for disc wars. The final round of the games has arrived and Sam is the last contestant to take on Rinzler. Rinzler quickly overpowers him and causes him to bleed, which catches Rinzler's attention. Rinzler recognizes Sam as a user and takes him to a viewing box above the arena, where an authority figure asks Sam to identify himself. Sam reveals himself as Kevin Flynn's son, but his request to go home is denied. Instead, he is taken to Clue, who reveals himself as the one in charge. Sam is sent to the Light Cycle Arena, where Clue's right-hand man, Jarvis, engages the crowd before Sam is put on a team with other programs to race against Clue's team. One by one, the racing programs are eliminated until only Sam and Clue remain. Before they can face off, a mysterious figure interrupts the game by blasting a hole in the arena and escaping off-grid into the Outlands. The figure introduces herself as Quora and takes Sam to a secluded home where he is tearfully reunited with his father, Kevin Flynn. Sam and his father catch up over dinner before Flynn reveals why he never came home. Flynn explains that he had been working on creating the perfect system with Tron and Clue, and that the birth of the ISOs was the miracle he had spoken of before disappearing. The ISOs were isomorphic algorithms that spontaneously evolved from the Grid without user intervention and with properties that Flynn had never seen before. However, Clue saw them as imperfections and performed a coup, taking over the system and destroying the ISOs in an event known as the Purge. Flynn was forced to flee into the Outlands while the portal, the only way out of the Grid, closed on him, trapping him inside. With Sam's arrival, the portal is open again, but Flynn refuses to escape, knowing that Clue anticipates this move and hopes to retrieve Flynn's identity disk to manipulate the portal. Quora tells Sam about a program in the city named Zeus who used to help the ISOs during the Purge and may be able to help them. Sam goes to the city, where he trades Flynn's vintage light cycle for a cloak and meets Zeus at his end-of-line club. Meanwhile, Flynn and Quorra head into the city to look for Sam, but Clue's guards trace Flynn's light cycle to his home and find it empty. Clue remembers when Flynn promised that they would change the world together and becomes furious, realizing that he has been betrayed. Sam is taken to a private room by Castor, who reveals himself to be Zeus. Clue's guards infiltrate the club. Sam steps out to fight them. Quorra arrives and fights along with him. However, she is overpowered, and her left arm is derezed. Flynn then appears and derezes the rest of the guards before escorting Sam and Quorra to the elevator to escape. Zeus propels an extension cord to capture Flynn's disc, sabotages the lowering mechanism, and Clue's guards rig the club with bombs before leaving. As they ride the Solar Sailor, Flynn takes Quorra's identity disc and rearranges the corrupted material that will enable her arm to regenerate. He also shows Sam that Quorra is an ISO, the very last one. Flynn then leaves Quorra with Sam to reboot. Quorra wakes up moments later and tells Sam that Flynn saved her during the purge. They bond further and Quorra asks more about the real world. Sam tries to describe what the sun looks like as Flynn looks on, smiling. Suddenly, the Solar Sailor intersects the Rectifier, a large carrier ship. Flynn, Quorra, and Sam hide among the cargo units of the Sailor and discover that programs are en route to be reprogrammed into an army for Clue. Rinzler appears and begins to investigate the Sailor. Flynn suddenly recognizes Rinzler as his old friend, Tron, reconfigured as Clue's henchman. Quorra gives Sam her disc and runs into Rinzler's line of sight, where she is immediately captured and taken away. Flynn and Sam find Clue giving an announcement to his army, intending to use Flynn's disc to allow passage into the real world where they may perfect it. Flynn makes his way to the light jet hangar where he reprograms a guard to access one of the vehicles. Meanwhile, Sam makes his way to Clue's docking tower to rescue Quorra and retrieve Flynn's disc. He fights off the guards there and intimidates Jarvis, allowing him to retrieve Flynn's disc. Rinzler confronts him, holding Quorra as a hostage, but Sam fights him off and defeats him by knocking him off the edge of the tower. Sam takes Quorra and leaps off the tower, using a wing-like parachute to glide to the ground. They meet up with Flynn in his light jet and Quorra takes the pilot's seat. Clue storms into the tower to find Rinzler and Jarvis looking sullen. As he watches Flynn's light jet leave the carrier, he strikes down Jarvis with his disc and leaps out of the tower, creating his own light jet. Rinzler and a few guards follow. As they fly over the Sea of Simulation, Sam is sent to the light jet's turret to fire on their pursuers. Rinzler and Flynn look at each other while Rinzler is flying over the light jet. Flynn talks to him and it helps Rinzler remember that he's actually Tron. He decides to go against Clue and yells, "I fight for the users." But Clue defeats him and Tron falls into the Sea of Simulation, changing from red to blue. Before reaching the portal, Flynn asks Quorra to do something for him. As they approach it, they see Clue standing there. Clue argues with Flynn, saying he was only doing what Flynn told him to do. Flynn apologizes and explains that perfection is impossible because it's unknown. Clue gets angry and attacks Flynn, who tells Sam and Quorra to go through the portal. Sam is determined not to lose his father again, but Quorra pushes him forward. Clue takes Flynn's disc and discovers that it belongs to Quorra, as Flynn had swapped them. Furious, Clue tries to jump the gap to the portal, but Flynn merges with him in a destructive process called reintegration. Flynn says goodbye before the explosion that destroys the grid. Afterwards, Sam saves the Tron system onto a microchip and contacts Alan to tell him he was right. Sam plans to take over Encom and make Alan the chairman. Leaving the arcade, Sam meets Quorra and she asks him what they will do. Sam takes her for a motorcycle ride to show her something. As they ride off, Quorra sees the sun rising for the first time. Thanks for watching, and what should we recap next? Comment your ideas down below.